So we are still working on the librarian bag, and I've started to sew some of this down right here. You can see some of the stitching is pretty intense. It always gets that way. I've laid out some of the green on this, but what I'm working on right now is the lace that's going to go on the pockets. The pockets for this particular piece, once I find them, there's a lot of piled stuff here that goes into the bag. So it's going to kind of look like this. It will go along the top of the pocket, so I'm not necessarily too worried about this up here. What I am going to be working on is making this look a little bit more like lace and a little bit less like cheese, because it does kind of look like cheese right now. So, first things first, switch out our blade, because I don't remember how much I used this one last time. And again, keeping your blade sharp is incredibly important when you're doing this kind of work. So what I did before the stream started is banged all of these out with leather punches. I'll show you those. This is my leather punch kit right here. So all of these will give you different size holes. It's a good basis for starting things or setting rivets or making different sized bubbles or anything else. I use them a lot. However, they're loud, so I'm not going to be doing those on stream. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now, I've already cut out these parts here. And I'm trying to make it look a little bit more like handmade lace. So they're not going to be exactly perfect, and they're not going to be exactly the same, because hand-tatted lace is very different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a few of these a little more teardrop shaped, just to make the lace part of this seem a little more realistic. So we're going to take some of our nice little dots here, and we're going to kind of elongate them out a little bit. And if I don't like it, I'll just do it all over again. Doesn't really matter. Sometimes when you're playing around with lace a little bit, it doesn't necessarily work out that great. These are, again, a heat erase pen. That's why I just erased it with fire, because it's heat. So, let me see. I don't know if I like that teardrop shape there. So, I'm just gonna take this off real quick. Again, when you're working with vinyl and fire, go fast. Otherwise, you end up with damage to the surfaces that you're messing with. Sometimes I did not have a specific plan for this lace when I started. So sometimes that's why I'm just going to mess around with it a little bit. And sometimes you got to go back over it again. No big deal. We've already been over it once. Let it cool down, and there it is. It's gone. No problems. So let's look at sketching on some of those. Kind of looks like angry eyes right now. I'm kind of not digging it. Try it again. And again, it doesn't really matter how many times you do this, as long as you're careful with it. It's not going to make a lasting mark or anything. Let's come back to this one. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to take off some of these straight corners. Because while hand-tatted lace is beautiful, we're not trying to necessarily make it exactly the same. Just enough so that it looks pretty. And we get perfect circles off of all of those nice little leather punches. But sometimes when you're trying to create the illusion of something else handmade, perfect is your enemy. I think a lot of people forget that sometimes when we're doing this kind of work, is that perfect is not something that's possible. Because we're human beings, right? People doing this kind of work aren't going to make it perfect. It's just not possible. Now, it can look really nice and have nice even lines, and it can look really clean, but it's not going to look machined. And I think that is part of the charm of doing handmade work, too. Because anybody can put, you know, when you go and buy a bag from a store or something, or a sweater or whatever, they all look perfect because a machine did it. Knit sweaters, that is. There's no such thing as a crochet machine. True story. Anyways, when things look perfect, you know that you probably purchased them from somewhere. But handmade stuff is always going to have tiny individual flaws. Even if you go to places like, I don't know, museums and see old textiles, right? Beautiful old textiles. Victorian garments and beadwork from the 1920s and all of that. None of it's perfect. You'll always be able to find a flaw in it because somebody made that with their hands, right? So, I guess my entire point of this is when you're doing this kind of work, you have to, I think, sometimes let go of the idea of perfect. It can be good. It can be beautiful. It can be something everybody wants to own. But that doesn't mean that it's always going to be flawless. Because, again, we're people making this with our own hands. Even if we're using sewing machines. Doesn't mean we have to accept things that fall apart or anything like that, but I think sometimes people that, you know, do handcrafted work are trying to compare themselves with the work of machines. And it just doesn't work like that. It never has. Can't be a machine. So I'm starting to wonder, maybe I will just leave this as circles, as lace. Hi, Jedi. Nice to see you. Just talking about perfection maybe being the enemy of handcrafters. It really doesn't matter what it is that you're making, whether it's traditional art or fiber art or whatever. It's never going to be as perfect as a machine because machines don't mess up like that. Machines don't have a wobbly stitch or anything else. I just want people to give themselves a little bit of grace when they're doing work like this because it's always going to be beautiful. And people that, if you're giving it to someone as a gift or whatever, they're going to understand that. You've made something beautiful for them. I really do think it looks kind of lacy enough. I don't think I'm going to mess with it. So, there we have lace pockets. So we're going to go for that whole Gothic feel right now. And this is what we're going to do it with. Nice little bit of lace on the pockets. Alright. I'm going to set that aside. And we're going to get down to sewing this. As you can see, I've already stitched in the words. And I think they worked out really well. They're nice and even. They're nice and centered. It looks nice. And then we're going to start with these accessory pieces down here on the bottom, and then I'm going to do the top bit. As soon I've yet again forgotten to wind my bobbin before we start, and I've got enough left for a little bit. I think I shared some of my tutorial videos for doing reverse applique. One second. I have to adjust my foot pedal here. It's supposed to have a no slip base on it, but it like slides all over the place anyways. So apparently I was lied to about what kind of base this was for my sewing pedal. That's alright. Doesn't take long to adjust. So for the work like this, I was saying something about my tutorial videos, but I don't remember what it was now. Anyways, this is the kind of work that sometimes people get afraid of when you look at the level of applique and the stitches on top and all this stuff, because what you cut out you gotta sew down, and they don't want to do it because they don't think they can. But here's the thing, I think anyone can do this work. I really do. I think people have to give themselves a chance to have some sloppy pieces or parts that don't look so beautiful off the hop. But the longer you do it, the better you get at it. And I think that's important to remember. Feeling awfully inspirational today. It's been a rough couple days for me, so I need to hear some nice things from me personally. So I hope other people watching the videos like it too. And give this a try. Maybe not this particular piece, but like applique work in general, I think it's really beautiful and you can make almost anything out of it. Of course, there's nothing wrong with not doing it too. I just think it's something that intimidates people more than it should. And I don't think anyone should be intimidated by it, because it doesn't have to be this intricate. Applique can be just a big square that you've cut out and made a really cool geometric bag. There's very cool kind of abstract geometry bags I've seen, but that's still applique. And I did a video on reverse applique, which was fun. One of my friends that runs a supply store I use was talking about having problems with reverse applique. So I said, hey, I will make a video for you, and exporting the videos to YouTube, because I figured out that Twitch is eating my videos after so long, and I forgot that. But hopefully that's fixed now, because I have YouTube and it will export all my videos and keep them, so not a problem anymore. So I'm gonna do another studio tour so that everyone can see it, because I'm proud of my workspace. It's not huge or anything. I've seen way fancier studios than mine, but I like my studio. It makes me happy, and it has what I need in it, so that's all you really need it to do. Jedi, you should totally try to sew. It's not really intimidating once you start doing it. It's like anything else, really. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is sewing a circle. And frankly, it's like it's more difficult than these intricate little lines that I'm doing, because it's so easy to square off the corners sometimes, and it's very annoying So I'm having to move the needle a lot. And the piece. Because, there we go. Because something that sews in a straight line doesn't like to make a circle. And I have this on a straight stitch right now, so it's not always very simple to get a circle sewed down. My YouTube channel is Cut Purse Creations, and it just basically has all of my Twitch videos that I had left on the channel and decided to export them over there so that I don't lose any more of them. Like I said, I'll do another studio tour so people can see my workspace and all of my fabric hoarding. I'm not ashamed. Okay, maybe a little bit, but like not really. I am, however, jealous of people that have those like catalog looking sewing spaces. Some of them are so beautiful. But I have what I have, and I'm happy with it, so can't complain. I'm a little weird and quirky, so is my sewing space. Can't expect me to have, like, the Martha Stewart catalog when I'm just this weird. But then I am, and that's okay, because I've been fine with that since I was about, 15. True stories. True story time. This is part of one that I do have to concentrate on, so I might stop talking mid-stitch or not talk while I'm doing parts of this. And that's just because it takes a lot of concentration for me not to just like sew right off the side. There we go. I think the only thing more complex than this that I've done are the mazes. I've done a couple bags with like labyrinths on them. Those are very difficult too. Although I learned a lot from them because it taught me about how I should position my my cuts and make things thicker than they had to be or thinner than they were. Taught me a lot of things doing stuff like that. So okay, I am not gonna play Bobbin Chicken. No, I can still win this one. So I'm just gonna do a couple of these other smaller ones and then we'll get back up to the big one up here at the top. I guess my tips and tricks here for doing intricate applique like this by hand is go slow. Make sure you have your needle in the down position. It makes a big difference when you're turning corners, when you have to do precision work. And try to keep your needle as close to the outside of the piece as you can. It's going to make for a cleaner look and it'll be more consistent. Because a lot of the trick of applique, it is just really keeping the lines even and close to the outside. It also helps keep the piece from peeling back up as it gets used. That's also why I backstitch on all of my applique, because it helps keep the piece together better. Especially because, I don't know about y'all, but I'm not gentle with my bags at all. Even the ones I make myself. I am not like a gentle person with all that, and that's why I want it to last. Because I know that there's a lot of people out there like me that, you know, have never met a dust bag for a handbag and kind of just keep my, I'm not like, you know, intentionally not taking care of my things. I'm just not that gentle. So as you can see, if you've watched me do other like larger pieces, it doesn't take me long because it's just, you know, sewing a few straight lines. Like the reverse applique tutorial took me literally 20 minutes to do 3 stars on the front of the bag. Because I've been doing that for a while, right? This will take me a few hours to get done, both sides plus the lace. Just because it's incredibly complicated. And I have to go slow. And I have to focus my eyeballs a lot because the pieces are so small. I don't know if I've done one with quite this many. Quite this many tiny bits to it, but plus the fabric is shiny and that makes things a little bit harder on the eyes. This one isn't as bad as some of them, but if you're wondering what the name of this gorgeous purple foil fabric I'm using right now is, this one's from My Punk Embroidery. I love Amy. She runs My Punk Embroidery. She has so many beautiful vinyls. They're just amazing. This is the new Fairy Shimmer line, and this is, I think, Blackberry Jam. I think that's what this one's called. I can take a look because I have it right over here, I think. Let's have a peek. I try to keep the labels on these, but it doesn't always work. One second. Where did it go? Okay. It definitely ran away. Anyways, Fairy Shimmer line from My Punk Embroidery is where this one came from. I have like several colors from this line too. I think I have most of the stock from My Punk Embroidery, to be honest. Okay, I'm not playing bobbin roulette today. There's a bunch of vinyl vendors, but I think My Punk Embroidery is my favorite. Just because they ship so fast and they're really, really competent. I really like them a lot. That's not to say anything bad about anyone else. Your your preferences may vary, and that's cool. But I definitely use her a lot. One second. Sorry, I gotta wind my bobbin. I keep telling myself I'm always gonna do this before the stream, and I always forget. So nobody has to watch me wind the bobbin. There we go. Done. Sorry. I always forget. No matter how many times I tell myself. Alright, let's rethread here. I love the modern machines because some of them are so easy to thread. Or they're self-threading. I'm not that fancy. I gotta do it myself, but that's alright. Oh, my eyes are tired. Alright, there we go. Done, wound, etc. Now we're going to move on to the top row here of all of this fancy stuff. So there's the bottom part done. So we're going to start on the top. My advice for this kind of applique work is to start in the middle and work your way out. That way, if there's any kind of like wrinkles or it's not quite taped down flat, it's much easier to work out from the center than it is to try and fix a wrinkle or a gap in the embroidery work when it's when you've started on the outside. Obviously, hopefully, you know, nobody's got those little gaps in there at all, but if you do happen to find them, it's easier to work them out from the center than it is to try and get them out of the middle if you worked in from the outside. There we go. I can finish words when I stop sewing. Oh. My brain can only do so many things at once. Let's see. People ask me a lot, like, where I get certain things. And I never mind sharing that. Even if it's other people that sew asking me. It's always so strange to me sometimes that people get very defensive about that and they won't. Such a weird thing. Let's see. I can name off some of my favorite vendors. See, I already talked about my punk embroidery. That one's really, really good. Let's see. Vala Creative Designs is amazing. She has a lot of wildlife themed stuff and like things that aren't character related, because a lot of places have a lot of character designs, and that's really cool because that's, you know, obviously very popular stuff. But if you don't do work like that, like, I don't know, the mouse or you know, Wizard Kids and all that kind of thing, sometimes it's hard to find things that aren't themed like that. So Vala is really good for that. That's why I love her shop so much, and that's why I do strikes for them. Strikes or demos, by the way, like, if you're trying to sell something, you need somebody to sew something up, you have a strike team. And it sounds really, really, really cool. Like, strike team. Doesn't that sound cool? Like you're doing something really awesome. It's just sewing. It's just sewing for companies if they need somebody to make like demos of their product so that other people can see what other fun things they can sew. It's a really fun thing to do. But it sounds like immensely cooler than it is. Sounds like we should all be in like black matte paramilitary gear or something, right? No, just sewing bags. For clothing. Lots of people sew clothing for strikes. Let's see, where else do I shop at? Nightmare Before Stitches. Nightmare Before Stitches is run by a couple of really fun people. And they have a lot of irreverently themed things, like horror. Because some places don't stock a lot of horror. But a lot of horror stuff, a lot of nerd stuff, a lot of interesting things that you can't find at other places. And they always have really good quality stuff. I like them a lot. There's Zorel. If you think that sounds like Kal-El, you're correct. Zorel does a lot of really fun stuff too. More like cutesy horror stuff sometimes. That's where I get my skull zippers, if you wanted to know. The skull zippers are amazing, and everyone should have some. Skull zippers come from Zorel Fabrics. Where else do I buy from them? Lots of little like coffin zippers and stuff like that, more generic stuff. Right? Paramilitary craft cosplay would be amazing. Like Strike Team Delta. It seriously sounds really cool. And I confused the heck out of my husband when I told him. I'm like, oh yeah, that's for my strike team. And he's like, the what? Yeah, surprise, I'm actually a spy. No. I'm not. I'm just a middle-aged lady at my sewing machine. Let's see. We were at Sorel. I use her a lot. Let's see. There's Chic Geek Textiles and Alchemats. Alchemats is super cute. She has the best rainbow webbing. Plus, the owner is adorable. She's always really fun on her live streams. They do a lot of the character stuff, too. It's cute. I like her stuff a lot. Chic Geek does a lot of custom fabrics. Some, like, hardware, too. I've shopped there quite a few times. Let's see. Who else do I go to? Zombie Bunny Fabrics is another one of my go-tos. Owner is really nice, and they make super cute prints. Again, they do a lot of character work too, but a lot of people do that for like clothing and stuff. She's had some really good floral prints too there. Who else do I get my zipper pulls from? I don't know, all kinds of people. Those are my favorites, really. Oh, Retro Stitch Fabrics. She always has really good designs too. These are all like custom fabric printing places. They do their own art, and then they'll do all of the like... Okay, sorry. I left my train of thought. And then they'll do the printing themselves. So these are all like small businesses that I buy from. I mean, I still go to the big box, like Joann's and whatever, but I like shopping from small places because they're people just like me trying to run a business, make a living. Oh, More Me No. That's who else. Which is, it sounds really fun to say it. She does the very popular Dice and Flowers fabric that I use a lot of. She has her own YouTube channel and she does tutorials. They're all really good. Anyways, those are some of my favorite places to shop for all this kind of stuff. Because you can find way more interesting things doing custom work like I do, as opposed to like, I don't know, a lot of folks will just do like patterned vinyl and patterned inside, and they have like the custom pulls and all that, but there's not too many. I can think of a few that do this kind of like applique work and stuff. So it makes it harder to shop sometimes because I'm doing custom work all the time. Because I don't have to like follow trends or anything like in fabric, or there are fabric trends. And then, you know, trying to stock up on what I think is going to sell is a little more difficult when, you know, one week I might be doing like dragons and books, and then like the next week somebody says Gothic librarian, and then somebody will say, oh, I want a bag with sheep on it. So it's very hard to try and like stock up on things sometimes because people just always want something different. So in that manner, my business runs a little bit different than some of the other ones that I've seen. Yeah, a lot of small places will take your recommendations for things. Like Nightmare Before Stitches got tired of listening to me whine about Mothra zip pulls, and I just got my pre-order sent out for them because they did Mothra zipper pulls because I wanted them so badly and I wouldn't shut up about it. They're really good people. I mean, like, obviously it's not just for me. Anybody can buy it, but I'm gonna take credit for that one. So, thank you, Jatana and Demetrius, for making my Mothra zipper pull dreams come true. They're probably not watching, but that's okay. Yeah, I really do appreciate that so many of the small places do so much variety, right? Like, I go to Vala Creative Designs for my more universal pools. I won't say generic because they're not. They're all really beautiful. But like things like different flowers and leaves and animals and stuff like that that is actually hard to find. Because sometimes the plainer things nobody wants to stock, you know, like things I can use across multiple different bags. I like interesting stuff like that. Kind of chit-chatty tonight. Hasn't been a terribly great weekend for me, so it's nice to kind of relax and yammer on. Okay. Some of these vines are very, very thin. So I have to be careful about when I'm stitching them that I don't move them to one side or the other and end up not sewing down what I'm supposed to and the thing kind of woogs off to the side. Don't ask me if that's a word, it's probably not, but I'm sure everyone knows what I'm talking about. There we go. I will warn anyone who goes looking through custom fabric groups, it is like ridiculously addictive. I just put in like a gigantic order at Retro Stitch because they're doing D&D map fabric. Like, how am I not supposed to buy that? I ask you. I'm not made of stone. Looks like the campaign maps that you would put on your table, like the hex maps or the grid maps, whatever kind you decide to use. But like, how am I not supposed to buy that? That is definitely something my customers in general would be interested in. I can usually make safe bets like that, like dragon fabric, right? D&D map. Or, well, I mean, any tabletop RPG. It could be for any tabletop RPG, I'll put it that way. And I ordered a bunch of it because I made a lot of bags for people for, like, gaming or something like that. I hope they bring back their Magic the Gathering fabric, because I didn't get any of that last time. That's a problem with small places, though. Like, small vendors, sometimes you can't get what you got before. For a while, until they decide to rerun the fabric. If they decide to rerun the fabric. So, there is a downside sometimes to buying small. However, it just means you have to buy a whole bunch when you find it. Like the Dice and Roses fabric, I did not buy nearly enough of a color I didn't think was going to move, and it's been one of my more popular ones. So now I gotta wait and see if they rerun that color again. And sometimes it takes a long time, which means I just have to buy a bunch more next time it comes in. Talking the other day about how people somehow assume that handmade stuff means it's cheaper. And I guess these people don't have hobbies, is all I can say. Because it definitely is not. Even clothing. I don't know when exactly it became like a sign of being cheap to give somebody something handmade, but that needs to go. Because supplies alone Like, if you knit somebody a blanket, right? That's hundreds of dollars in wool. Just, like, in wool. It doesn't count your time. Or the effort. Or the skill that it took you to get to the place where you could knit somebody a blanket. The only thing I can knit is Doctor Who scarves. And, frankly, I would not make those and sell them. Because it takes so much time. They're huge. And I've made 2 of them. In fact, that's the only reason I learned to knit. True story. Yeah, if I could predict popularity things, I might be rich. Who knows? For me, though, because I do custom work, it's hard to tell what anybody's gonna want, really, for, like, custom bags. Because they're also personal, and that's, I really think, what makes this so much fun. Because I am doing something that they can't just go buy anywhere. I mean, you can buy a bag anywhere, but it's not gonna, like, have your dog's face on it, or represent your favorite musical instrument and flowers or whatever. It really is a lot of fun. Although on occasion, it does make it irritating to try and buy things to stock up on, because sometimes I can't. Because I can't think of what the next person's going to want. But of all the complaints, that's a small one. Gosh. Pricing for fast fashion anymore is just awful. So remember I was talking about the knitting machine a minute ago. There's no such thing as a crochet machine. So like when you see crocheted items at a big box store, somebody handmade that. True story. So it makes you wonder just how little they were paid for that. All of that work to make those granny square vests or whatever. Because you can't buy those. Like on a machine. Somebody had to sit down and do that, just like any other handcraft. That's why you've seen more knit than crochet in anywhere. Because they have machines that knit. Crochet is too complex for a machine. Okay, I need to concentrate on this. I'm gonna have to shut up for just a minute. These little curly cues up at the top are giant pain. So bear with me. Think of the sound of silence, I guess. Love that song. Don't worry, I won't torment you with singing, but this isn't like a horror channel, right? I mean, I'm not that bad at singing, but nobody wants to listen to me do it either. I'm definitely not like some kind of secret talent in that department. Oh, I'm getting so close. This is probably one of the more stressful parts of what I do, because if I muck it up, I have to start all over again. And I do mean all over again. Because I've talked before about how vinyl does not heal like in the way that, say, seam ripping out of cotton will heal. Eventually the holes go away. It heals itself. Vinyl does not do that. Once you make the hole, it stays there. Unless you can melt it closed with a lighter. Risky proposition, doesn't always work. Long story short, ask me how I know. My kid asked me if I was streaming. My niece, who is little, she's like 6, asked what streaming is. My son very helpfully told her it's when I go upstairs and talk to myself. So I guess that's accurate. Even though there's people watching me talk to myself, I guess I am just up here talking to myself for a couple hours. So you all have to pretend that you're talking back to me, so that, you know, I don't sound quite as bonkers to the children. It's pretty funny, though. I am technically just up here talking to myself because they can't hear. Even though my kid jumps in the stream and knows that there are people here listening, he's not wrong that I'm up here just talking to myself. That's okay. I'm entertaining myself. It also helps keep me focused to have the camera on and know that people are watching me. So, no chance that I'm just gonna wander off and start playing Candy Crush or something. Stay on target. Oh, this is gonna be so pretty when it's done, though. Yeah, I don't know if I could make a career out of doing this. Although you're right, Jedi. I mean, people do. And, you know, like, good for them. That's pretty cool. I don't know if I could make a career out of this. My career is this. I'm just, like, it makes me happy to share it with people because I'm a part of a lot of sewing forums. I know that's shocking, right? What am I doing? Sewing forums. But... and people get kind of intimidated by applique. Or reverse applique. So I thought maybe if I find a way to share this, that maybe more people will do it. Because I really do think anyone can. I'm not like some kind of super special person. Lots of people out there do it. And some of them are better at it than I am. I don't have a problem admitting that. But I think I'm pretty decent at this. Have I had a client ask to not show the design that was made for them? Yes, actually. I have had clients that say, hey, my significant other follows you on social media. Please don't show them this. Or, hey... I really can't, my significant other follows your shop, you can't post pictures of this. Because there are pieces still on my shop that you don't see anything but like a back of something. Because they didn't want me to show them. Because the risk of the gift recipient seeing it was very high. But for themselves, I've never had someone say, surprise me. Not like that. And I would be very, very leery of making something custom and not showing it to them at all. That would freak me out, I think, too bad. I have had someone, I've had a lot of people give me really, really, broad descriptions of things that they want. Like, they really didn't know what they wanted. Like, my favorite bag prompt ever was somebody messaged me and said, I want something a badass mermaid would carry. And I'm like, wait, what? And that was it. That's what they wanted. So I went and designed something based off that, but I showed it to them before I, like, you know, sewed it all up and everything. But I don't know. I think I would be too nervous to do something where they didn't even see it. Because not to, like, sound completely gauche, but my bags aren't really that cheap, and I would want to be sure that, you know, they liked it before I did anything with it. I would be cool designing something and showing it to them before I, like, finished it, like, sewed it down and everything. That would be fun. But just, like, shipping it off, no. No, I wouldn't do that. Because that would freak me right out. I don't think my anxiety could handle it. I do have anxiety. And it's still really weird that I do this. But, like, I doubt a lot of things sometimes. But it's funny because a lot of my friends who are much more successful and, you know, more well-known than I am, I won't be tacky and name drop, that's not cool, also have anxiety. So, you know, if they can do it, maybe I can too. Okay, we're getting there. Still got these little arrow deals on the side and a few more circles. As you can see, these are very time-consuming designs. They eat time for dinner because they are so delicate. Oh, my hands hurt. We spent the day, my husband and I spent the day building my kid a loft bed because he wanted a bed for a teenager, and his other bed was like for an 8-year-old. So, you know, fair enough. But my hands hurt from doing that all day and then doing this. Oh well. Go and take a shower and soak in the hot. Yes. I don't know. All I know is that when you've sat on the floor for a few hours and you're over 40, it feels that way when you're done. Feels like you're way over 40. All right, nearly there. A few more pieces left. Then this side will be completely done. Excellent. Whew. There's so many little pieces. Oh. Hold on 1 second. My hand is like cramping up. I did say I've been doing a lot with my hands today. I managed to get like one of those awful cardboard cuts. Like the worst paper cuts are made with cardboard. Ugh, I hate those things. So annoying. Alright.
Cardstock paper cuts though.
Peanut gallery what?
Like the like what are the poster board? Yeah. You ever got cut on one of those?
Yeah, I sure did.
Those suck.
Yeah. That would be my other son. Also lives here. We have a multi-generational household at my house, which I guess some people find strange, but I do not. Because my mom lives here too. Oh, dear, yes. I feel way older than 40 right now. It's grim. Yeah, that's a really good circle. So if you can see this, I think it's close enough, but it's really looking very nice. Ugh. Okay, let's get some more of this done. Then I can move on to the next bit. The garden bit will go a little bit faster than this one. I knew this was going to be the major time-eating sink. But it's really going to be worth it when it's done. It's really pretty. The idea for this side was like a book ending design. Old books used to have like kind of like book plates stamped into the beginning and the end. And then it would have this really beautiful, intricate design for the end of the book. And that's where this came from. It's a good thing that I sew for a living because I really don't think that I could go and do anything else right now. Other than something that requires sitting down. It's not great. Okay. Have a little bit of the double-sided tape that's kind of come off the side here, and that's okay because it just rubs right off. You can use erasers on it too. I have before. It should get everything off there. It's not a huge deal. All right. Ugh. I don't know if I can lift the foot anymore. It's so rough. You like, I don't know, I have like heated massage gloves or something. That would be cool. So close. However, it doesn't pay to rush with these because, like I said, if I muck it up now, because I'm so close that I want to be done, more than likely it's going to result in me having to cut all of this out again and then sew it all again. So I will continue at my slow little pace. Because the sewing machine doesn't care if I'm tired and don't want to do this anymore. It'll just keep going with or without me. So, oh, my hand hurts so bad. All those Allen keys, screwdrivers today. Whew. Look at that. It looks cool on the backside too, doesn't it? I really do like to look at the backs of the pieces sometimes. Okay, another arrow. Let's get this done. guess they're not technically arrows, but they're arrow shaped enough that, yeah. It does look cool on the back. Some of the really fun, intricate pieces look really neat on the back. When you start layering things on there, it starts to look less cool and it kind of looks like a mess, but right now, this is all we're doing on this side. Then it's gonna look pretty good back there on the back. I guess some people use stabilizers on their pieces when they do work like this. I've never bothered, and I've not really had any negative results from it. So I guess if that's a question you've ever had about embroidery work like this, like top stitching on applique, I don't bother. Regular embroidery, yeah, I would, but this is not exactly embroidering in the sense that, you know, I don't use an embroidery machine or anything like that. Alright, into the can it goes. Sorry, my nose itches right there. Ugh. Okay. 4 pieces left. That's all that's left. Let's get this side done. And then let's start on the other side, which is the less complicated side with a lot of pieces on it. We're going to do that whole Gothic garden thing on that side with our really cool little crow friend. Like I said, when you're sewing circles, I'm going to repeat this one a little bit because some people get really mad at circles. Turn your piece often and go slow, because your straight stitch machine is not going to want to sew a pretty circle. It's going to want to go in a straight line. And again, like I was saying at the beginning, nothing has to be perfect when we're making it ourselves by hand. It's not going to be, no matter how hard we try. And that's okay. It doesn't have to be. Because you're making this with your own 2 hands and all of your own skills. Not programming a machine. We're not machines. Anyone that programs machines knows even machines aren't perfect. These are small circles, so I have to turn it a lot. Excellent. Okay. I also check the back of the piece when I want to make sure that I actually did sew everything. So like, as you can see, like right in here in the middle parts, it's very, very small. And sometimes when I glance on the back, if I notice there's a place that's missing that I know is not supposed to be missing, I'll know that I need to look at the front again and make sure that I've gotten everything done. It's just one of those things that is helpful to do. Okay, let's get this side first. Get all the little fancy embellishment parts, and then we are good to go on this side. I have made coin purses, yes. And I can make men's wallets. I can do bifold and trifold. They're a little bit bulkier still than store-bought men's wallets, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's the interfacing that I'm using or what. But they're cute, and they work fine. I just feel that they're bulkier than anything that I've ever bought in a store. And I'm not sure exactly why. Probably because I don't have like some kind of industrial flattening machine or something that they use, but... we do coin purses and makeup bags and backpacks and orangutans and breakfast cereals. If you know that reference, you should be in the chat room. I can make almost anything. I won't say I can make anything, but I can make quite a few things. It sounds a little egotistical to say, I guess, but I can make a lot of stuff. Except wedding dresses. Please don't ask me to do that. Which I get asked more than you would think. And it's weird. Just because somebody can sew one thing does not mean they can sew anything. A lot of people that make clothing swear that they can't make bags. I am a person that makes bags, and I am not that great at making clothing. I can make clothes, like simple clothes. Definitely not a wedding dress. Unless you literally want to get married in a giant handbag. I mean, I could do that, probably. I don't see why not. But it's not really good form to ask people. Orangutans and breakfast cereals is a reference from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. When they were reading off the list of stuff right before the Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch was thrown at the killer rabbit. It's not scene 26, but, you know. It's just it's just something that we say around my house when we're kind of going on lists about things, right? And orangutans and breakfast cereals. Oh, hang on 1 second. I gotta stretch my back. It is also unhappy with me. Ugh. There's a lot that was going on today. If you have not seen Monty Python and the Holy Grail, I can't say that you should, but we have a lot, so... Also, The Life of Brian, which is incredibly funny, but not something you would probably enjoy if you're very religious. I wouldn't enjoy most of it. Oh, come on. There we go. Yeah. There's, like, really unforgettable parts in there, but, like, I don't know why that always stuck with us. Maybe it's just a family thing, but the orangutans and breakfast cereals always stuck with us. It's just something we all... Life of Brian is, hilarious, really. But, like, if you have really strong opinions on sacrilege, it's probably not the movie for you. I think that's putting it as, like, nicely as I possibly could. I've seen a lot of weird movies. Okay. So close. So close. Okay, I'm going to get this side finished. Okay. Right? Like, hardly have ever... I had never have time to watch things anymore, because I'm always up here doing this. I try, but there's just so much stuff that's so good. It's like some kind of nerd renaissance going on the Netflix and Hulu and all that. So there we go. This panel is officially done. And it's beautiful, and I'm very proud of it. And my eyes hurt. I'm proud to do work like this, but I can't deny that it's very painful to watch for my eyes sometimes because it's so small and I have to stare at it for so long. Okay, so I've already laid this part down to go with the book and the flowers and the raven. Very much surprised that my cat didn't pop out of her little bed because she heard her name. But we're gonna get these flowers sewn down right now. The greenery anyways. And then I will work on putting the book down. And I've got to grab one of my threads off the wall. Because I don't think I brought down the beige or the blue. I did not. Okay. Well, let's just start with this part first then. There's some little leftovers bits on this one, but we're going to start on this side. So here's what it looks like right now. All taped down. These are the two like stylized plants, and then the flowers and stuff will go here, and then the bird's gonna go over here. Okay. Gonna get started on this side over here. This part goes a little bit faster. Because I can sew in some straight lines, or at least in longer stretches I can sew than the other side. Which makes my life easier. Still gotta be careful around little curvy bits though. Gotta make sure the chat doesn't turn off so I don't miss anything that's super important there. There's that. Colors on this one don't quite match exactly, but I think it's good to have like highlighting, contrasting colors sometimes. So it kind of makes parts of this stand out a little bit more. Oh, okay. Sometimes you gotta check exactly where the end is because the foot doesn't always show it. So that's what I'm doing if you're wondering why I keep lifting this thing up all the time. just to get the most accurate edge I can. Like, I can see the edge of where the fabric is, where the vinyl is, but I can't always see where the end of it is. So I kind of have to lift up and have a look to see if I've gotten all the way to the end or not. And we can go back down this other side. Let's get around the curve. Put it into speed drive there. There we go. So like, if somebody was looking to start getting into applique, I would think that this would be a good place to start. Like leaf shapes, a lot of those are really pretty and they're not too hard to get around, because you see right here, it's really pretty, but it's not that difficult. It's not super hard to get around these lines. So that would be my advice. I'm gonna go around this one more time. For some reason it looks like I skipped a stitch, which is very annoying. Yeah, there we go. What was I saying about machines not being perfect? Skip that stitch. Alright. That is not a problem anymore, because I fixed it. I think for any more other sewists that are watching this, getting yourself a pair of these are awesome. They're bent thread snips and they work amazing. They work better than any of the other pairs that I've had before. I highly recommend them. We gotta back things up and fix the things. Okay. I think honestly my brain is starting to turn into pudding, which means probably shouldn't be on here too much longer. Or I'm just gonna start like completely babbling. Not just talking to myself, but like not making any sense at all. I think I have enough brain power left, so it's been a very long day. Alright, one more turn around here. That is that. Okay, well, I hope everyone enjoyed watching the process on this one today. And there's where we're left with that. We have this one completely finished and it's beautiful. And that is all for today's stream, folks. So I hope you enjoyed it and I will talk to you later. Bye. Oh, I kicked the thing. Oops.